Day.
Come fly with us. I'm really feeling the jams tonight. I hope turn up the sound. You can hear this. It's really nice.
We really wanna fly somewhere. So we're just gonna give a few minutes for some people to join. If you're joining us, can you please leave a comment? Let us know who you are, where you're watching from. We can give you a shout out and we'll get started.
Smash the thumbs up button. Let us know you're here. Whoa, little feedback there. So 1 week later, here we are again. This is our 4th quarantine and cocktail event. Although we're kind of lame now.
We are.
Cheers to tea.
We haven't drank in like 2 weeks since we did our juice cleanse. I really haven't had any desire to, so I'm just keeping it up, drinking tea, being healthy, and water. Got my water bottle. All right, so let's get into some quick news. I'm limiting us to 10 minutes because we like to talk, and
we have a very special guest today.
We do have a very special guest, Ms. Stella Fey, who we'll be introducing shortly. We just want to run through the news real quick, and then we'll bring her on.
Yeah.
So hope everyone is having a great Wednesday. I'm feeling like coronavirus end is nearing. The president is not extending the pause after tomorrow.
Yeah, there's some promising news about a new treatment coming out that they're using. So lots of good stuff coming, hopefully.
Yes, and I was going to say something, but I'm not going to because I don't want to get political on this. So moving forward, we want to say a big drum roll for 4,000 members in our group. So thank you everyone who's been doing the contest and inviting members. We're so excited. We appreciate all of you following and being members of our group. We always hope to inspire you with travel stories and tips and tricks and how to save money, even on like lifestyle things with everything going on lately. So thank you for being a part of the group.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you bring some value to you guys.
Nathan, the Lysol goes down easy. All right. Anyway, also we announced last week that we have a new member of Basic Travel Couple, Robert Wells. We've known Robert for quite some time. He's going to be starting to write some articles, do some videos in the group. So if you see him, make sure to give it a thumbs up and give him a shout out.
Yeah, he killed it. He made a 524 video in like 2 minutes. So it's awesome, really to the point. And that's the sort of content that we're going to keep creating here, is really basic strategies to save money, travel for less, and really increase your finances.
Yes. So next up, we have a quick update on our ant situation. I think we might have touched on this last week, but
ants.
We have a tree that's rotting. It's actually in our neighbor's yard that we were just going to trim it, whatever was on our roof. But the guy was like, nope, I'm not touching that tree. It's dying. And it was just mush. So we're chopping it down. And I'm hoping in the next week he chops it down. But in the meantime, I had applied for the Hyatt credit card. So I can at least get
a ton of stuff. Check out that article that was posted. If you stretch the points, 17 free hotel nights from this credit card. It's crazy.
It was crazy. We're pretty excited.
Yeah.
So we'll there's going to be a couple of things we'll be linking, but
yeah,
we'll link it all afterwards. But make sure you read the Hyatt, how we're going to get 17 free nights out of cutting our tree down. So that's an update on that. I'm hoping the ants will subside after the tree gets cut down. So hopefully next week we'll have an update.
Yeah, Sam's Club. So Sam's Club is giving away a free membership right now. It's usually $45, but you get 12 months for free. Pay the $45, and then they give you $45 off of your first purchase or your first transaction there. In addition, someone reached out to me last night and said you can get an extra $10 cash back by using the Dash app. So
nice. I like that.
I know, it's awesome. So I linked that I added that to the article. Check it out. I mean, you're basically going to get paid $10 to shop at Sam's Club, which is pretty cool. All right, next one, Love Voucher. That's all you.
So we had a reader last week who had an issue with their Southwest Love Voucher. Now, these are the vouchers that are given to you at the airport. Typically, they are given for a delayed flight, a super delayed flight, or a canceled flight, something that's going on. They were only extending those for 6 months, but I posted a new hack of how you can actually extend that up to September 7th of 2022. So we'll be posting that article. It gives you a step-by-step how-to get that going. $15 off Amazon. I use this.
Yeah. Well, this is a great hack. And it comes around quite a bit with all the rewards programs. Basically, they want you to use your points as currency to pay for things on Amazon.
Which we usually don't.
Yeah, you save your points, use them for something better. But if you use 1 point, you still get the offer. So sometimes it's like $15 off, $20 off, and it's usually like a $50 purchase or $30 purchase. So really cool, really good hack.
I just bought a Lowe's gift card because
she went Lowe's.
We shop at Lowe's and Home Depot all the time.
I like groceries. So
I'm trying to convince Dave to buy a shed. He doesn't know it yet. We'll be getting one shortly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
okay.
where I'll be sleeping.
Yeah, there's
no ants in the shed.
If anyone knows of any Amish sheds in the area, let us know because I'm scoping out prices now. Anyway, we are. How many more minutes are we down to?
We're in
4 minutes.
For 6.
4 minutes. All right. So IHG Elite Status Extension. IHG has finally said that they are going to extend your status. Is it? I forget. Till when? 2022.
Yeah, I think it's 2021. It's we put an article together with that extension, but they're going line with Wyndham, with Hilton, with Hyatt, with Marriott. They're all extending it out at least a year, which is cool, and definitely nice to see. But then on the flip side of that, the IHG is moving to dynamic pricing, which is annoying. So they keep your eyes peeled if you're booking IHG hotels. They may or may not have a big bump up in price. Usually it has to do with the number of if it's like a peak window, like an event going on or some sort of like happening weekend, like a festival, something like that. What we got next?
This is a fun one. Starting May 4th, JetBlue is now requiring all passengers to wear masks. So this is going to be for the full phase of the flight. It's going to be required when you're boarding. They're going to be checking. And it says like babies don't have to wear a mask if you're flying with babies. And unless you have like a medical device and you can't wear a mask, that's fine as well. But I feel like we're going to start seeing more airlines follow suit. JetBlue was the first ones to announce it. I saw another airline, I think Thai.
American.
Oh, well, mine was international, but Thailand Airways, I believe it was, is going to be doing that as well. I just read something on that earlier.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming that all the airlines are going to be doing that.
Yeah, I'm assuming so too. Especially to get travel back up and running. I saw they're doing a sale also for $49 if you book through like by tomorrow, but it could be for travel in the future. So if anyone wants some future travel that flies with JetBlue, there you go.
Yep. Lots of deals for airfare right now. And in fact, Italy, Sicily might even be paying people, or at least heavily subsidizing travel to get to Sicily, Italy, which is kind of unique. I feel like this is definitely uncharted territories for countries to really be kind of trying to boost their tourism through things like that for everybody. Sometimes it's bloggers or like people that have travel websites, travel writers get those sort of deals, but it appears that they're going to be opening up to everybody. So, huge discounts on flights, free hotel nights, and I think museums and other historical places are going to be free as well. So it's pretty cool. I actually haven't been to Sicily. Lisa went to Rome last year, so I would love to visit that.
I have not been to Sicily either. So I told Dave if they are doing this, we are going. I could barely walk in Rome. Like I literally I just got my cast off, so I didn't really get to experience it. I did do a wine tour on crutches down a hill into caves, and the guy said I was the first person to ever do that, and he was very impressed because there was a lot of people that just wouldn't even walk down the hill, and I did it in crutches, and he just loved that. So that was fun.
All right, we got 30 seconds until our guest of honor is starting.
Free credit reports through April of 2021. Dave wrote an article on that. We'll link it.
Check it out.
And a contest update. We have 1 day left.
1 day.
Of our contest to win the Travel Pro bag, which now I definitely know I can't keep it, so I'm very sad. It's a big bag. It's stuffed with travel goodies. It includes a portable charger, I don't know. There's a ton of stuff in it. It was like $150 value, I would say, maybe more.
Yeah,
I kept buying stuff.
That's a bag that we had wanted to do a contest and give back to the people in our group for a long time. And we started planning this contest in like October.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got pushed back. And finally, we're at home. We're like, we should probably give that away because we've been planning on giving away for so long. So please keep inviting people to the group, keep growing our community. And we're looking forward to giving that away to the lucky winner.
Yes. And that's it, I think. So the winner will be announced on May 1st. I'll repost it again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last day to get your entries in. So yeah, that's all our news, and we did it in 10 minutes. I am very, very impressed with us.
Yeah, that was killer.
All right, so now
the rundown.
We're going to introduce Stella Fey. I'm gonna pop her in, and then I'll give you a little background of Stella. Let's see.
And keep those questions coming. Points, miles, finance.
Hi, Stella.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey.
Good. How are you?
Good. I don't know why my name is like, can you see my name on the screen? I don't know how to get rid of that. It's very weird.
Probably.
But anyway,
I won't forget your name today.
It would be nice to have your name on there. I don't even know why it's on there. But anyway, so Stella, I used to work with her at Alliance Advisory Group about 6 years ago. Geez, that's 6 or 7. And when Dave and I first decided to move in together, I told him that he had to meet with her. It was like a non-negotiable. I'm like, well, if we're gonna do this, like we're gonna get our finances straight. Like I'm not arguing about this. So he did. He met with her, and now we meet with her probably quarterly, maybe semi-annually, depending on what we've got going on. But we constantly have things changing, so we Stella and I chat on the regular. So yeah, she's been managing our finances over the last few years, and
she takes a basic approach to finances, which I appreciate. She really breaks it down because I'm not like a big finance guy, and I like travel and points and miles, but she really makes things easy. So I appreciate that.
Some of the things she's helped me with are from last year. I went from full-time to part-time. And we've been working on building our own businesses. So it's been nice to be able to have her to help with that transition of, can I really leave my job and go part-time? And then when we bought a second home last year, we bought a rental property. And then most recently, which this is, I can't believe I didn't remember this, but when I started with financial planning years ago, I took out a disability policy on myself, and I totally forgot that I had this policy. So when I broke my leg, Stella brought it to my attention that I should have filed a claim, and I did, and I was able to get a payout. It was almost a year. It was a couple months ago. So Stella's been very helpful, and we wanted to bring her on because there's a certain learning curve too when you're starting to travel hack and with controlling your money. So your finances play a huge role in being able to travel hack. Us having our finances in order have made us be able to play, I guess I want to say, but play with credit cards and to utilize the credit card points. So we wanted to give you some additional resources to learn about cash flow, and we hope it's beneficial for you guys. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments and we'll get through them at the end. But without further ado, I want to please welcome Stella Fey.
Yay.
Hi. Thank you for having me. This is really an honor. It's an honor to be here today. I'm very nervous, but it's exciting. So this is my first time doing an interview like this. So this is going to be fun.
Don't be nervous. You'll be great.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so happy that you're here.
It'll be just like we're meeting. We're talking to each other. It's great. So can you just give us a little background about yourself, kind of how you got started, whatever you want to go with on the background of yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with Alliance Advisory Group, and actually I started my career with Alliance Advisory Group. I'm in my 16th year. I just started my 16th year. And I moved to Western New York in 2003, just right after I graduated from college. I actually grew up on the West Coast. I have deaf parents. I had deaf parents. And so growing up as a kid, we didn't have a lot of money, and basically my sister and I were the eyes and ears for our parents. So I got very involved at a very young age with budgeting and cash flow conversations with my parents, just because of just where our life was. And like I said, we had to make phone calls for our parents from time to time. So when I was younger, I wanted to be an advocate for people, and I really thought I was going to go into law school. And in my senior year of college, I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And I started researching. I saw financial planning as a another platform. So I thought, I was like, you know what, that's something I could see myself doing. And I came on to Alliance at the end of 2004 and started my training and came on full time in 2005. I will have to say my biggest out of my career, we'll see what happens after 2020, but the biggest moment in my career was 2008, where I really had the opportunity to experience what people went through financially. It was an eye opener to see people really not have a good handle on having cushion, cash flow, just money sitting in savings. People who were retiring, the reaction they had, because it was very much doomsday in 2008. It was a very different energy, I feel like, because even people on Wall Street were reacting very differently than they are today. It was a whole different experience, just the way the market was reacting. It was like one of those things that kept grinding on people through 2008 and through 2009. We didn't start to recover until 2009. And it was just really amazing to see how much people struggled. And I remember learning so much. I was 3 years into that business. And one of the advisors I worked with, he didn't really do a lot with cash flow. And so when 2008 happened and people were losing their bonuses and getting pay cuts or losing their jobs, or their houses were negative equity and they wanted to sell, it was just extremely eye-opening, and it really changed the format of the type of planning I now do. So that was probably the best experience I could have had coming into the business, because it really set my clients up for 2020, what's happening right now in the pandemic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. 2008, I feel like it seems like so long ago, but I'm sure there were a lot of lessons learned there, obviously, you know, for you and like what you've chosen to do and going forward with your clients and the people that you work with. Like, I definitely, and I don't remember the stock market in 2008, but I remember it was bad. And it seems like it's not awful right now. Like, it's been going up quite a bit and no one really, like, there's a lot of mixed reasons on why, which is, you know, optimism and versus like everything that's going on. So I don't know. It's definitely not my, not my nomenclature, so to speak. But I know that it's definitely different, you know, from 08 to 20.
I would say what happened in end of February, early March, I think the panic that you saw with the market was just purely that. It was panic. People were, think about what happened second, third week in March, and all this really started kind of hitting home. And I was even worried. I was like, well, what's going to happen with my business? How am I going to do my job? Am I considered essential? You know, am I still going to be able to create a revenue? Am I still going to be able to help people? And then people who work for a company, they didn't know if they're going to be making jobs or making an income. They didn't know if their pay was going to be cut. And it's actually quite amazing. A lot of my clients, thankfully, I would say about 90% of them are still working and still earning about 90% of what they were earning before. A lot of people are getting pay cuts anywhere from 10 to 20% so that they can keep paying out payroll. But I would say what happened in end of February, early March, that was really a panic. And I think you also saw a lot of people seeing what was coming and the concern with revenue coming in or income coming in. They took a portion of their portfolio and went to cash to cover things like expenses and payroll. And I think that kind of caused a domino effect too. When people started to see the market decline, I think it was just panic that set in. So I think that was what was very different from 2008.
Interesting.
That is interesting. We'll get into that in a little bit. I know we
market.
have a couple other questions on regarding that, but I kind of want to save that for the end.
Yeah, actually, I want to, based on what you were saying before. You want to be a lawyer?
I wanted to be a lawyer, yes. And really, I chickened out on going to law school is really what it came down to. And I do plan to go back to get my master's. So Could you see me as an attorney? I'd be a killer attorney.
That's why I brought it up. I was like, I could totally see you as an attorney. You always had, like, I feel like do a really good job of kind of like leading somebody down a path of like what you're trying to explain to them. And then all of a sudden you like pull out like the big guns and you're like, it's just like, it all makes sense. Like, connecting all the dots. So I could totally see that.
I was like, where's he going with that?
I do want to know, I forgot, what are you drinking? I know we mentioned we're drinking tea.
What do you got?
So it looks like
I am drinking, it's a mule, it's a Moscow mule. My little twist today is I put some sweet tart cherry juice in it, just to give it, just, anti-inflation. But my vodka is local. It is local. I told you I was going to do it. It
Yeah.
is Buffalo Distillery, home of the 1 Foot Cock. Their vodka. It is such a good vodka. It's so delicious.
We're
So
gonna have to
I'm gonna promote. Actually, I had my 40th birthday party there. What's that?
We're gonna have to try that. I haven't had that.
They have an awesome bar. They have an awesome bar when you have a chance to get there. It's really cool in there. It's downtown. Yep.
Yeah.
Right by it's like in the Larkin area.
Okay.
Right next to Flying Bisons, the same parking lot as Flying
Oh,
Bisons.
okay. Cool. Nice.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
definitely
well,
seen that.
We'll have to. Oh no, I got my paper wet. We'll have to check that out. So let's see. Where was I here? Just to jump right in here. What would you say is the biggest concern you see in the financial industry right now?
You've already started to kind of hit on it. And believe it or not, it's not what's going on with the market. It's really, for me as a financial advisor, my biggest concern is the panic that you've seen people go through with the potential of not having their income for a month or two. And that concern, because that tells me that they're not financially prepared to weather any kind of storm. And, there's been some articles that are coming out, like how hard would it be for someone who just needed to come up with $1,000 in case of an emergency. It's really cash flow. So when you think about it, it's what's coming in and what's going out. And if we're not being responsible on trying to get organized now, or we weren't getting organized before, now's a great time to get organized, because cash flow is really what drives everything that we do, whether we're working or in retirement. It also impacts how we access our assets. So I would say we talked about this earlier, the average age group in this platform is about 30 to 50. So I don't know how many people in this group are worried about retirement right now. But those that are in retirement or that are retired, yeah, that's a big concern, because their assets dropped very quickly in a very short period of time. That's a negative and a positive. It didn't last, that drop didn't, as deep as it went, didn't last very long. But it's also an eye-opener to, okay, well, if I'm taking all my money from those assets in retirement and I'm not building in buffers, like I always teach my clients, let's have 1 to 2 years of safe cash in retirement, and then be a little bit more conservative. I do like a bucketing investment strategy for my clients. And then the next 3 to 5 years, more, not aggressive, but more moderate. And then the longer term money, more aggressively invested. I say aggressively loosely. So that's really the biggest concern, is seeing people's reaction to losing their job for 1 to 2 months.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
to kind of piggyback off of that, is 1 to 2 months typically what you would recommend people to save of their expenses, or would you recommend more when you're starting to plan with someone?
I recommend, the goal is to get to at least 3 months of expenses in cash. That's a very hard answer for people to give, which is partly why we do the cash flow work that we do, to identify what that is. Right. I kind of have 2 rules of thumb. If you're a W-2 employee, you should have at least 3 months of expenses in cash. If you're self-employed, you should probably have more like 6 months of expenses in cash. Because think about it, when we start to come out of this, how long is it going to take for these small businesses and even middle-sized companies to get back to where they were back in February in terms of producing revenue and income? It's going to take a little bit of a run up. So my concern isn't even what's happened in March and April. I think we're really going to see the effects of people's financial struggles more like June and July and August, because it's kind of that domino effect. Like, all right, we've got these things covered, and people aren't getting unemployment right now. Yeah, they're hurting. And especially if they haven't built up that cushion. So, I would say if you're a W-2 traditional employee, 3 months minimally. If you're self-employed, at least 6 months.
Okay.
And that's just cash. That's just cash. But accessible money, that's money that's even like in some investment accounts, not locked up in retirement accounts. The next goal after that is, and that takes a little bit longer, is to get to 1 year of your income and some type of short-term capital. And short-term capital really means money that's like liquid to semi-liquid, but not going to have penalties or heavy taxation when you access it.
Yeah, it's important to definitely have those buffers built in. I am really curious to see what plays out over the next few months with the kind of like the clash between unemployment and small businesses having pushback from their employees because there's like a lot of heated debates going on right now about that topic. People don't want to work or don't want to be employed because the $600 is higher than what they may have been making at their jobs, and then these small businesses are going to be struggling to keep these employees, and when that $600 runs out, or unemployment runs out, like I don't know, it's like I just see a spiraling effect taking place, like right in front of me when I think about that situation. And,
so my husband owns a business, and they had to shut it down. And he just recently started applying for unemployment because they weren't sure if they were going to get the PPP because they missed that first wave. And I said to him, I was like, don't rush into it, because the fact of the matter is we don't need it. At the end of the day, why are we going to take from someone else when we don't need it? Because I'm able to work. We've cut back so much of our expenses at home personally. Like even me, like I said, you know what, we're going to take advantage of this opportunity, and we're going to really cut back to the basics, and we're going to watch what we're spending if we're going to do it. And we're not even traveling with the kids this summer because my biggest concern is getting their hopes up over the summer and then having to cancel on them if something changes, right? So we're going to probably stay local in New York and do some stuff here in New York. But from the standpoint of small business owners, that is a big concern. But if they have that cushion, and they have the ability to really ramp up their business for the remainder of the year, they may not feel any difference. Like they may not feel that pain, but it's because a lot of people are panicking because they don't have that cushion, and they're afraid of what's going to happen. And that's what you're saying about the unemployment applications plus the people that are applying for the PPP. It's really unfortunate, because what they're trying to do is keep their business afloat so that their employees have something to come back to, but their employees don't understand the ripple effects of not having that PPP and the employer not being able to get it forgiven if they use it appropriately. So it is going to be interesting. And I guess it's one of those things, if you're looking at your cash flow and if you don't need unemployment, don't apply for it. You don't need it because you have other ways to create revenue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love taking it back to the basics, like you said. I think that's important.
Always take it back to the basics.
I hope people are doing that right now. I get it's super ridiculous to see what some people are spending their $1,200 stimulus checks on. Like, I think they're joking at some level, but I've seen like crazy things on social media. People talking about buying tigers, Tiger King, or like
oh my gosh,
like somebody bought.
What if we started with the Tiger King, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't think anyone's really gonna buy a tiger. Like that would just be
that's
the
a stretch.
most.
But
Lisa,
ridiculous.
You're so kind.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some crazy people out there doing crazy stuff with their money.
I've met these crazy people. I know people who would buy these tigers.
I saw a post that somebody bought a full size dinosaur suit, like the ones that you blow up and wear them around. Like, oh, I got my stimulus check. Figured I would want to buy this. Like, what are you doing?
So let's talk about the stimulus check.
I was just going to bring that up.
Let's talk about that. What? I have no idea. So I have no idea when we're going to get ours. We haven't gotten ours yet. It's fine. But from the standpoint of the stimulus check, I had a client who reached out to me, and she's a relatively new client in the last year, and she's been a really great client. She's done a really fantastic job. And she reached out to me, and she can't work out, and working out's a stress reliever for her. And she has a good cushion of savings. And she's like, well, I've got the stimulus money. Can I buy a bike and keep it at home? And she went back and forth with me on this for 3 days. And I said to her, I was like, absolutely, you should buy the bike. I didn't tell her not to buy the bike. I'm like, the whole point of the stimulus check is to put it back into the economy. However, at the same time, it's to help you pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, don't buy something crazy. If you are able to pay your bills and you have been responsible, have fun, do something fun with it. That's the point of it. So yeah, it's kind of crazy what people are doing with that. And if anybody's listening and they're like, oh yeah, I got this money. If you don't have 3 months of expenses in cash, put it in your cushion, because we don't know what the next 3 to 6 months are going to do. And there's probably not going to be another stimulus check coming our way.
Yeah, I've heard rumors too of the they're well, I don't know if it'll pass or not, but they're talking about doing another $2,000 stimulus check per person. I don't know if that's going to pass or not, but I guess we'll see how that all plays out. But still going along your lines, that would be something good to kind of put in your savings if you don't have that money. You said 3 months of savings, you know, if you're a W-2 employee.
Minimally 3 months of expenses and savings.
Now, I'm going to throw you
and I would say that 3 months of expenses. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that 3 months of expenses. Can I just hit on that for a minute? What is your basic expenses? It's basically everything you need to do to survive, to keep your roof over your head, to keep your bills, to keep your electricity on, to make sure you're not defaulting on your credit cards. Now, if you are not working and you're struggling to pay your bills, you really need to take the time to reach out to your mortgage company, to reach out to the student loan companies, to reach out to your credit card companies, to reach out to your utility companies, to anybody who you pay a bill to. As much as embarrassing as it is, as emotional as it is, digging your head in the sand is the worst thing you can do. Being proactive and taking advantage of the fact that everybody's going through this. So there's no reason to be embarrassed because there's so many people calling looking for help. Make sure that you're taking the time to get that stuff taken care of. Don't just ignore your bills. And actually, I had another client young client, who's struggling with the student loans, and they're struggling to just learn how to do the financial basics. For whatever reason, she missed paying her student loan bills. She called them and they actually said, because of what's going on with COVID, we're just going to defer you automatically get deferred. So that actually helps clean up her credit report by what they're doing. So if you've been digging your head in the sand on something that you should be taking responsibility for, call them. Take the opportunity to call and say, okay, what are my options right now? Because there are so many different options that are out there.
Good point. I was just going to throw you a little bit of a curveball and ask, you know, what if you are, and I guess this is probably, what ifs are never like good questions to ask, but this one's a little specific and it kind of relates to credit cards. If you're stuck in a situation where, you know, you don't have the money for your daily bills, you don't have the savings, would you I want to say recommend, but I guess what would you do in that situation? I know we are always getting offers in the mail all the time for 0 interest for 12 months, 0 interest for 18 months. You know, would you recommend taking kind of a break from, you know, figuring out what you need for the next 2-3 months? If you have enough in available credit, maybe taking I want to say a loan from your credit card where it's a 0 interest. So you'll only pay that like 2-3% fee up front. And then you have 12, 18 months, however long it is, to kind of pay that back. But it kind of gives you a little bit of a cushion to be able to afford your bills, to afford groceries and food, and to keep your heat on or your whatever, the lights on in the house. You know, how would you go about that if you're someone in this situation who hasn't gotten the unemployment or they lost their job and now they're kind of stuck in that position where they don't know where money is going to come from to be able to eat?
It's a great question. And that is and that it's okay to ask the what if questions, because we need to understand what our options. That's a really tough question to answer. And because it's almost like a slippery slope, right? If you haven't really been good with your money and you've just been kind of getting by, you really should seek out a financial advisor who's going to help you navigate that. So I kind of equate it to when you're trying to lose weight, right? And you're trying to eat right, and you're trying to work out. It's like, oh, let me just have that cookie or let me just have that cake and I'm just going to eat the whole package now, right? So it's having somebody there that's going to be your accountability partner that's going to call you and be like, Stell, you shouldn't eat that damn package of cookies. And I'd be like, you're right, I shouldn't have had the cookies. But from the standpoint of this is a very frustrating situation. And if you have balance on a credit card and that's your only option, okay, it's what it is. But make sure you are reaching out to somebody to help you get yourself back on track, especially if you know you're not great with money, because it's not going to help you if you're trying to utilize your credit card for hacks if you have no room to use it anymore and then you're not able to pay that bill. That's just going to hurt you even more. So it's a tough answer, but I would definitely say if you're going to do it, make sure you have a plan and that you have somebody helping you with that plan.
I love that. That's a
don't
great
go in
response.
blindly like, yeah, I got a 0%, $10,000 loan from my credit card that I don't have to pay back for a year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna buy.
I call it the swipey syndrome. We aren't paying attention to everything else. We're just gonna swipe, because then it no longer becomes used for emergencies or
Right.
groceries, or it's like, oh, let me go buy that dinosaur costume, you know? So it's right. You get a little kind of like, oh, like I got money now. I can just do whatever you want with it. So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great response. I wish when I was in college I had you, because I definitely did not make some very good financial decisions. And one of the biggest almost regrets I still have was when I studied abroad and I took out a $10,000 loan that I've basically paid back, but I still basically owe that amount because I didn't know how money worked.
Right.
I just figured, oh, I'll just pay the minimum $50 a month. And that got me nowhere, and whatever, that's a long, I don't think I still owe that much. But anyway, I wish, back then I clearly I think it should be a requirement in college to meet with someone about your finances just one-on-one, because you really don't understand how money works. I mean, I didn't. That's a whole nother story. But
yeah. No, I think we all have like those crazy stories. Like when I was 18, I got talked into a Sears co-branded credit card to buy a TV on Black Friday because it would save me like $100. And I didn't understand.
I'm going to save $100.
Yeah, I'm like, great idea. And I was like 19. I just really wanted the TV and the PlayStation. So I bought this TV and I had to play. I think I got the PlayStation 2. And I'm like, great, I don't have to pay this for 12 months. So I waited, let the just waited. I had the money to pay from the beginning, and I wish I would have just paid it off, but I didn't. So like a year goes by, and it was because it's co-branded store credit card, the interest had compounded, and they just laid it on me at the 12 when it versus just like most bank credit cards, it would just it's whatever percentage it is based on whatever the balance is, not compound interest built up for 12 months.
Right.
So I ended up owing like double the amount of the TV, and I was freaking out because I didn't know that was going to happen, and I was like super stubborn too, so I'm like, I'm not paying this. Because they didn't.
And so it just got worse.
Yeah, it just got worse. I ended up going to collections, and I didn't have a credit score for a very long time. And
you took me back to when I first met you.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And then
some of the stories you shared with me. Yeah,
it's just crazy. But here we are. Like I have 50 credit cards now, but I manage them super well. Like I am organized. I have spreadsheets, and I made a ton of money, hundreds of miles.
But whenever we're updating our balance sheet, I'm like, let's not even worry about the credit cards because there's so many credit cards that you guys have. I'm like, just can we skip over this? Do you remember when you guys were in college? I went to Cal State Fullerton in Orange County, California, and they would have tents up. And they would have all these vendors there, and they're like, get a free credit card, and like you could just literally right there sign up and get like $2,000 in credit.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and I remember like I think they stopped doing that now, right?
I don't know.
They did it when I was there. I don't know if they do it still.
But the worst part about all of that is that they give you like bogus stuff, like a T-shirt or a frisbee.
Yeah.
T-shirt or a frisbee.
What? Yeah. Because
a bucket.
Teenagers are stupid.
So speaking of that, when would you recommend that, what age would you recommend meeting with someone to figure out and look at your financial picture? What is an adequate age?
So actually, it's funny you're mentioning that, because really there's no education in school on money and really how to handle finances. And I will have conversations with my clients' kids. One of my clients, her son started working with me at 19, but he's in the trades, so he's very different. He is making good money, and he won't have student loans, and in about 2 more years he'll be making fantastic money when he's 22 years old. I would say the sooner you can start educating your kids on money, the better. Like my kids, my 3 kids, I have 3, there's 12, they're 12, 8, I have to think about it, and 6. I'm in the garage of my house, which is why it's so quiet. I'm away from the house.
Nice.
So we talk about money all the time. I don't hide that from them. I don't want them to grow up with a mom who's a financial advisor who don't understand the basic rules of thumb when it comes to money. When they want something, they have to do some chores around the house. My daughter is so excited for the dry season to come so she can scoop the poop and make some money. My son mows lawns. The little guy, we have him do little projects here and there. And we say to them, like, if you can either save this money for something bigger, you can give this money as a donation to something, or you can make an immediate purchase. So we talk about it all the time. So I would say the sooner you start talking to your kids about money, the better they're going to be with money.
Mm-hmm.
As if you have teenage kids now, have them just do some basic lessons or meet with your financial advisor. If you have a good financial advisor who's willing to take the time to grab a bunch of kids and buy them some lunch and just have some general basic financial fundamentals, that's actually really important to do because that's their beneficiaries. And when they're older, you're going to want to have that relationship with those kids because they're not going to want to be like, oh, that's just my mom's financial advisor. No, this person actually taught me some basic fundamentals too. So I would say as soon as you can, start exposing your kids to the topic of money as soon as possible so that they make good decisions.
That's really awesome.
I'm going to hit on college for a second.
What?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a really good idea. I got chills when you were saying that. You should make a little class out of that, like kids introduction to finances or something. That's a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah.
I think I might. I think I'm gonna definitely do that. I like to do events, so that'll be something I'll probably put on my event thing.
Yeah.
I want to hit on college for a minute, especially like parents that have kids that are applying for college now. It is such an emotional decision. It is such an emotional decision. And what's really unfortunate is these student loan companies, the financial aid firms, even parents are co-signing on these student loans or letting their kids get these loans, and they're not talking to them about it. Because think about when you were applying for college and when you were so passionate about wanting to go where you wanted to go to, and this is what you're going to do, and this is the college that you want to go to. There are some really amazing resources. Like here in New York, there is a great program called College Assistance Plus out of Rochester, and they will sit with your kid and they will do some diagnostic things and some career studies with them. They'll find out what they want to do, and then they'll show them the schools that are most appropriate for what they want to do. And they'll look at their grades, and they might even talk to their kid and be like, hey, you know what, maybe a community college for your first 2 years of school is good for you because you don't know what you're wanting. You don't know what to do. Your grades aren't that great because they're at high risk of failing out of school that first year, right? So I would say if you have kids that are college age or that are about to go into college, they're not going to listen to mom and dad, but they will listen to someone else who is a specialist in that area. So try to find somebody who can help you with that decision and make sure that you're making an informed decision on what you're co-signing or what you're signing your kids up for student loans.
That's awesome. That's really great.
I heard something today about if there's a growing movement from parents about college next fall or next year in general, like if it is moved to mostly remote or primarily remote learning or online learning, that the value isn't really there for the college. Why do you go to a 4-year school, right? So a lot of there's
the experience, the environment, the classroom, right?
So there's a pretty big movement growing for people to pull their kids from those 4-year schools for the first 2 or the first year and go do gen ed credits at a community college online and save the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a great time to really evaluate what the options are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think I actually started at community college for my first semester because I was undecided of where I was going to go. And then I went to a private Catholic school, which now looking back, I was one of those kids who took out all the student loans. Oh, you're going to give me $5,000 extra? Yeah, I'll take that. And now I have thousands and thousands of dollars in student loans that who knows if they'll ever get paid off because it's just never ending. But
yep.
it sounds like a really cool,
a
good idea to meet with a specialist because you're right. Like kids they don't want to listen necessarily to what their parents have to say. So if it's a third party outside of it, That's a really great idea.
Not even just that, it's just the value, like understanding money, like $1. Like, what does it really mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, you look at these price tags, sticker tags for college, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, college is expensive.
So expensive.
Yeah.
If I would have understood that I would be paying back hundreds of dollars a month for like years and years of my life, I might have reconsidered what I was doing with my college years. So
Yeah.
that's really important.
I know. I wish I would have studied abroad in college. That is literally my only regret. If I could, I don't know, it's a whole nother story, but
Yeah.
I did the survey of
I
colleges.
agree. If I could have done, I would have done, my college experience would have been way different. I went to a community college the first 2 years and then I transferred to a 4-year. I lived in an apartment the entire time. I lived on my own. I had cats. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm not your normal college student. So yeah.
Yeah. I would recommend studying abroad to anybody. And even though I took out that loan, I think I said it was for studying abroad, even though I'm still paying back, it was still worth it. I mean, I should have paid it back sooner, but lesson learned.
I had the survey of colleges. 2 years, 2 years community college, 2 years 4-year school, 2 years private graduate school, and then university after that. So
Yep.
the whole spectrum of schools. Then I did trade school, night trade school on the side for carpentry and auto. So I've kind of got everything.
You did that recently, right? In the last couple of years?
Yeah.
That was like the last 5 years, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was, just about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man,
I love our reviews because I never know what's going to happen in those reviews with you guys. You're like, we did a thing. And I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go.
Like,
what do you guys do?
House.
I'm just going to school to be a mechanic on the side, but I don't actually want to be a mechanic. I just want to take the classes so I have more skills.
My accountant, the accountant you actually recommended to me, they literally laugh when I call because my situations are just so crazy. I like pick him up and, hey Tony, it's Lisa, and he'll just literally burst out laughing, and I'm like, I know, it's just. Last year we had to redo our taxes 3 times.
I know, you told me that. That's crazy.
The one that wasn't even our fault, that was Chase's fault, but they paid for it, so whatever. Anyway,
Chase Bank.
So kind of getting back to what we were talking about earlier, and I think you kind of covered this a little bit, but for those who may have lost their jobs right now, what might be the best way to kind of pick themselves up and move forward to prevent this from happening? I know I'm guessing like moving forward when they're able to get that savings going for the future to be more preventative next time.
So I did mention it earlier, and it's really taking inventory. And when I say take inventory, it's what are my fixed bills? What are my variable bills? Like, what are the things I have to pay every month? And then looking at that and determining, have I really tightened that up? Like, some people might look at their credit cards. If they do carry credit card debts, are they paying high interest on those credit card debts? Can they restructure those credit cards to get those lower interest, to get the payment down? Then you need to look at your cable bill. Like, are you paying a crazy amount for your cable and your internet? Like, is there some other things that you can consider doing? There's so many things you can do to tweak your fixed bills. Then, or even your mortgage with rates right now, especially if you have good credit score, look at your mortgage. What's going on with your mortgage? Is there a way to kind of tweak that to make it more efficient for you? Again, see a professional to help you guide on those directions. And mortgage bankers are actually, if you find a good mortgage banker, they will give you some good advice on that. Going to variable expenses, taking inventory of, it's really great right now because we're really not living normal lives. We're not going out, dining out all the time. We're not shopping all the time. And I know Amazon, my friend jokes and he's like, I got an Amazon problem. And I'm like, you should stop swiping. Just stop. Because it's not good because you're spending money on things when you could be really bulking up your savings, right? Yeah. So when you look at your variable expenses, I'm actually, I know you're going to share this, but I'm doing a cash flow map presentation next Wednesday at noon. And I will be doing another one in the evening in the next couple of weeks. Actually, I think I'm going to try to do it Tuesday, whatever that Tuesday is, 2 Tuesdays from now.
Okay.
at around 6 o'clock. But it's going to be all about cash flow mapping. And a budget is a dirty word. People don't want to pinch their pennies. People don't want to backtrack what they spent on what. Some people will do it just because they're curious. But if you don't know, that's okay. Let's just understand what our fixed expenses are. Let's tidy that up. And then let's try to figure out what we're spending money on that's frivolous or that isn't as necessary, and try to clean it up so when you see what's coming in and what's going out, you have a surplus that's staying back in your balance sheet, like that's staying in your checking account. So really take inventory. This is a great time to take inventory and think about what you had been spending on and whether or not that was really worth it, and look at what you're doing going forward, because that's really what's going to help you. And I would say, like, a lot of my clients, people are like, you're probably so busy, you're probably dealing with a lot of client emotions. Thankfully, I've reached out to so many of my clients. I've had conversations with them, and thankfully, because they understand the value of here's my fixed expenses and here's my variable, I say to them, go back to the basics. Like you guys know what I say it all the time. Go back to the basics. The basics are got to live tight, got to tighten the ship up a little bit. That might mean this year we don't go on a vacation because we don't have those extra funds. And it's okay. It's okay if you don't go on that trip this year, because what's most important is your mental sanity when it comes to your money. One of the slides in the presentation is happiness is a positive cash flow, right? If I know I can pay my bills, I'm happy. Like, I'm good. If I can't pay my bills, what's the emotion attached to that? So, and then you make other bad decisions when you're like, well, might as well just take that credit card and, buy that dinosaur costume.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
buy that dinosaur.
Great point.
So I would definitely say this is a great time to take inventory. And if you don't know how, reach out to your financial advisor. I recently learned that only 5% of financial advisors talk to their clients about cash flow. That was like insane to me. So if you don't have an advisor who's going to help you with your cash flow, find one that does. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I think I remember the last time we talked, I was just so nervous about our finances because my jobs over the last few years have changed so much. I went from working at Independent Health that was like this real cushy, like 5 weeks off vacation every year, whatever. And I was thinking of going part-time, and then we were buying a house, and I was real nervous about my financial life, like thinking I wasn't doing good. And just having you like sit me down and be like, look, here's where you're at, here's what you're doing, and here's like your overall big picture, like your cash flow of everything. And that was super helpful. I think I left that meeting, and ever since I just have a better understanding and knowledge, because I even forget, I know where I've been going, but with so much change, I think having those check-ins has been so important to like our financial health. It's been super, super beneficial. So I really enjoy having those cash flow conversations.
Yeah. Gives you big picture.
Here's the thing is, you guys have done the work. When you are making these decisions, you're not making them emotionally and spontaneously. You're actually, you're weighing out the pros and the cons. And we've become such a instant gratifying society that people are just like, well, I want to do it, I'm just going to do it. Where when they're taking the time to measure out the pros and the cons and really making an informed decision, that's going to put you in a better light than just reacting emotionally. And that's, kudos to you guys for being so, on top of it all these years. And that wasn't because of our relationship. That's just because of who you are, Lisa, and the jobs you've had over the time. And you've been an easy client to work with because you are proactive. You think forward, not just like spontaneously. So that's a good thing. And to weigh out. And that's why sometimes you just need a reminder of what your options are, because you forget, because you get so tunnel vision on what you have and what you think you have versus what you don't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it really, you can look at your banking account and it's easy just to like have some sort of attached feeling to just what that looks like versus the big picture, assets and equity and all this other stuff. So
I know I wanted to ask one other question, then we have some reader questions. So I know we talked about for those who might have lost their jobs, and I kind of wanted to switch gears onto more of those savvy people that are a little more savvy with their finances. They've been prepared, their cash flow is great right now. What are some things you could look into maybe at this time to build or grow their financial plan? Maybe investing in stocks, is that something that you would advise? What's something to kind of go from here in this current time period that we could maybe take advantage of?
Well, it is a great time to invest. It's a great time. The market's down. Buy low, sell. Sorry, yeah, buy low, sell high. My mind isn't working. Buy low, sell high. And so right now the market has dropped down quite a bit, and yeah, it's come back up. Probably about half of the losses that we've recovered already. But this is still a great time to invest in the market. So if you have a healthy balance sheet, if you have your 3 months of expenses in cash, if you are saving, I always say rule of thumbs. Financial planning is all about math. It's statistics is really what it comes down to. I'm just here to help hold you accountable, right? And to educate you and to study other concepts and ideas that are coming out or that are available to you based off of your income and your tax bracket. But for those that are like in a position where they want to enhance their plan, this is a great time to invest. Just make sure you have those foundations in place. Make sure you're saving 15% of your income and not all just into your retirement account, because you want to have some different tax buckets that you invest in. So it's a great time to invest.
Okay, awesome. And I know Dave and I kind of talked about this earlier today. What happens if you do invest and you get gains? You have gains on stocks and the stock market. Do you pay taxes when you take that out? Like, is it a high tax bracket taking that money out?
So it depends on the type of taxable tax account it's in. If it's in a retirement account, you're not taking that out till you're retiring. So, and you don't pay any taxes on that. That's tax deferred. You have taxable accounts and you have tax-free accounts. So if it's in a Roth IRA and if you're under 59 and a half, if you take it out, you don't pay taxes on the gains, but you may pay penalty on the gains because you're not 59 and a half. If you're over 59 and a half, it's completely tax-free. Taxable accounts, you will pay taxes on the gains, and you do pay taxes on the gains as not the gains, the dividends and the realized gains that are paid to from your portfolio each year. And that's I'm trying to stay basic here, but you do pay a little bit of taxes on taxable accounts versus Roth IRAs or pre-tax accounts. So you do pay some taxes, and you need to just, again, understanding what you're investing in, what type of taxation is going to occur. Is it deferred? Is it tax-free? Is it taxable? And it's really important to understand, especially for those that are savvy and have a pretty good plan. They want to make sure you have different buckets that you're investing in, because if I'm in retirement and all my money is in my tax deferred account, when I go to take that out, every single penny is taxed. When I have money in other taxable buckets, if I need to buy a car, I could take it out of my Roth IRA, which is tax free, or I could take it out of my taxable account, which I potentially won't have to pay as much in taxes as I will out of my tax deferred. So that's a very loaded question. It all depends on how it's invested, where it's invested.
Okay.
I think right now, really, what's become more popular are the investing apps, and they are they're popping up left and right. There's like a new one every month or so. And I actually saw a statistic the other day that on SoFi Invest, because there's a lot of, the people that are on these accounts are just kind of hopping in just to get the free incentivized stock for joining, and then maybe they dabble here and there with whatever money they want to invest. But there was a stat the other day when the oil went down, the oil prices went down, that like SoFi and one of the other apps, there was like a crazy percentage of the stocks purchased that day were for the U.S. oil stocks. It's not even a stock, the U.S. oil stock. It's not a stock.
Great time to buy Exxon, right? Because it's so low right now. Yeah. Seriously.
But the futures, contracts, and all this other stuff, that's like, a whole next level of understanding. Like,
it's a whole different level of investing.
Yeah, and people were buying that thinking that it was a stock and it was going to go up, and it's just, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy. It's crazy what's out there and what's available. And people think they're investing in one thing, and they're like, oh, I'm a conservative investor. I'm like, you're 100% in large cap stocks. How's that conservative? Like, no, it's not conservative.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's definitely crazy. So we got are we moving on to questions, Q&As?
Yeah, I know we have some that were asked in the questions from earlier, but I just want to get to some people that are live right now that are asking. I like that someone said that they feel better now. I think that was when you were talking about how to use the stimulus checks. So if you have the money, it's meant to be
Mhm.
used essentially. So that's nice.
Like right
Um,
before that, they said, "Why is it we have to be taking a remodel during trying to get back to the basics?"
There was a question about buying a house.
Yeah, that's
Did you see that? I think you kind of.
So one is a good time to buy
When's
a
a good
house.
time to buy a house? Rates are down. If you're looking to buy a house, this is a great time to buy a house. And I have a really, really good friend who's a real estate agent here in Buffalo, and they are doing some very creative things with being able to sell houses, doing virtual tours and that type of thing. So you can still buy a house today. If your credit score is below 680, it will be harder for you if you don't have a way to rescore your credit. If you are higher than 680, it'll be easier for you in terms of your credit score. So that's just some little points, some little tidbits. Now, if you really want to buy a house and you're really trying to figure out and you don't have a great credit score, go to your bank, go to a mortgage broker and say, here's my plan. What do I need to do to improve my credit? Because far too many times do people just make a decision and like try to pay off a bunch of their credit cards when you don't necessarily need to do that. What you need to do is make sure that you're making on-time payments, or you're making some bigger payments, or because you want to make sure you keep enough cash for when you buy that house. Because when you buy into a house, what happens when you buy a house? Rule of thumb, every time you buy a house, what do you have to put back into it? Money, right?
Yeah.
Anywhere from 5 to 10,000, because something's going to go wrong within the first year that's going to cost you anywhere from 5 to 10,000. So you don't want to deplete your cash position when you're trying to buy a house. That's the worst thing you can do. So go to a banker, a mortgage broker, or somebody to get advice on what to do to bolster your credit score to put you in a better position for buying a house. But this is a great time to buy a house. Rates are at an all-time low again. I remember in 2007 when we were laughing at someone who was like, well, I can get a interest rate at what did he say? He's like, oh, my rate's at 5%. That's a super good rate. I'm gonna not.
What happened?
I think we lost her. I don't know.
Oh no.
Stella? I don't know what's going
I
on.
don't know what
Hold
happened.
on.
Hopefully she reconnects to us here. That was some good information about buying a house. We actually would like to buy in at some point. Oh, there she is.
There you are.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Your video is
All right.
getting a little, I don't know if you've noticed, it's like you're turning green, so your screen like goes away, and then we just lost your audio.
Like the Hulk.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
My internet is full bore, so I don't know what's going on.
Looks like you're back now, though.
Yeah. So where did it cut off?
Buying a house.
Oh, about a 5% interest rate. You cut off like right after that. I don't know if you remembered what. Oh, we can't hear you.
Got my mortgage.
Oops, sorry, hold on, you were muted. Say that again. That was my fault.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, that's all right. No, one of my clients was years ago. One of my clients like, I don't want to refinance my house. I have a great rate, 5%. It's great. Well, that's super high now, right, compared to what it's been. And it was actually starting to climb back up to 5% in the last few months. So yeah, real estate prices are going up, but the interest rates are low again. So if you're going to buy a house, this is a great time to buy a house.
Okay. Cool.
That's definitely good information. I know people have been asking about buying houses left and right, in some of my circles that I'm in.
We had a couple of comments about people with what kind of got them into bad things with their credit. So the calling credit card, her husband was stationed in Germany. We all had our learning experiences, I guess we'll call that.
You need a power of attorney for that. That's what you need to be able to do that stuff. When your spouse is away, have a power of attorney. Get your legal documents in order.
I signed up for 3 credit cards for sunglasses and a t-shirt.
How much?
For those of people that are just joining right now, we've got Stella Fey here. She's answering questions, kind of like everything under the sun of finances. Talk about mortgages, stocks, savings, cash flow,
Stimulus checks.
Stimulus checks. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop us a line right now. We'll keep them going here.
I just started a Zoom conference class on money. Love what you guys are doing here. Awesome. We love that. You should definitely join Stella next week for her cash flow management class. It's next week, Wednesday at noon. You said, and we're gonna link that too. So you guys, if you're interested, 12:15. 12:15. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, and that's a free class.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
It's a workshop too, so you'll get a workbook.
Oh, cool. Fun.
Oh, awesome.
I think we should join that. Lots of good info. Should everyone have a financial advisor, and how do you recommend finding one? Oh. Great question.
That's a really good question. So I'm not just local to New York. I have clients all over the country. So if you are looking for a financial advisor and you're looking to interview one, hey, I'm here. I do WebExes all the time. I do online virtual meetings all the time. That's something I've been doing for years and years. I'm from the West Coast. I live in New York. So I have clients all over the country. I have clients I've actually never met before too, which is pretty cool. Whenever I go to their area, I do try to meet them. It's a lot of fun when I travel for conferences and I try to meet them. Other ways to find a financial advisor. There's Broker Check. There is, I don't know if that necessarily gives you to know the name of a financial advisor. There's so many different, there's not like really a resource. I guess you could probably check out the National Association for Insurance and Financial Advisors website. It's an organization that a lot of financial advisors sign up to be members of, and you might be able to find some financial advisors there. But, when you're working with a financial advisor, you need to know what you want when you work with a financial advisor. There are just some financial advisors who are going to talk just specifically about investments. They're going to help you invest your money. There's going to be financial advisors who talk specifically about life insurance and disability insurance. There's going to be financial advisors like myself who talk about a lot of different things: life insurance, disability insurance, investments, savings, cash flow, college planning, debt restructure strategies, all those different types of things. So it's really what kind of education are you looking for, and what are you looking for from an advisor?
It's a great answer. Yeah. I think that people sometimes, talking about money is always difficult, right? Like people just don't want to talk about their money, their finances. It's a really personal thing to talk about. And to find some sort of stranger that you never met before to divulge all this information is not easy.
No, it's not easy.
You gotta. I think a lot of people go word of mouth, like, oh, I know somebody, and they're really good. And I'm glad that you're able tonight to join us and talk about all this stuff. And hopefully, some people are learning some things about what you do. And I think that what I always appreciate from you is that you are like very diversified in what you talk about and what you teach, just like tell. And that's a big deal, because I remember back in the day, I met some financial advisor somewhere for something, and basically it was just like I felt like I was being sold on life insurance the whole time, or some sort of insurance to buy into, and that's never been the case with you. So I appreciate not feeling like I'm being sold, because everyone's trying to sell somebody something nowadays, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because financial advisors, they're definitely evolving. It's definitely that it's changing, and there's been a lot of regulations, especially in New York, that have come into play that's forcing a lot of financial advisors to kind of look at the way that they run their business. And a lot of them have been heavy on selling products, or not really giving advice. And that's why I say, what are you looking for a financial advisor? Because if it's somebody that's just going to sell you a product, that may not be what you're looking for. If you're looking for someone to give you direction and to be there and not judge you, and because gosh, so many times do I meet people and they're like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, judge-free zone. Like, this is completely judge-free zone. You're taking a huge step, which takes a lot of courage to even be here today. So it is embarrassing for some people, and you may feel so completely off track. But then when you sit down with somebody who's going to, just be real with you and be honest with you and call you out when you need to be called out, that makes that person feel empowered to be better. And that's really why it's been so important to me since 2008 to see everybody to see what I saw in 2008 in the financial industry, it really opened my eyes. And I'm like, I don't want to be that financial advisor. I want to be someone who, when we have a crazy situation happening in the market, I'm not having to react. I'm checking in on my clients. And I can't tell you how exciting it was to go into this pandemic. Gosh, I feel like when I say pandemic, I'm back in like Victorian era. I never would have thought of a pandemic when we talk about cash and money and all that stuff. But when I started reaching out to my clients, they were like, "What's up? What do you need?" And I'm like, "I'm checking in on you because I was told I should call all my clients." And they're like, "You take good care of me. We're good." I'm like, "Okay, sweet." Like there was only like one or two people I was really concerned about, but like I have a lot of clients, but there's a handful of people I was concerned about that I have a good relationship with that I did reach out to proactively. So I don't know. It's a really different industry. And if you don't like the person, don't work with them. If you feel like they're talking over you, don't ask them to bring it down to your level. Sometimes I get too detailed or too basic for some people. I'm like, if I get too basic, tell me to step it up. Like, well, I'm trying to figure out where to fit with you and your engagement. So just make sure whoever you're working with, you like and you're comfortable with, and that you feel that has your best interest at heart.
What can I ask now? Do you, having a financial advisors, if someone, do you charge something to meet with people if they're interested? Is there ever a fee upfront to pay, or how does that work?
So that's something that's changing. I'm actually in the process of upgrading a couple of licenses so that I can charge fees.
Okay.
You can't just charge fees as a financial advisor. You have to have the proper licensing to do that. And all these years, I've just been compensated from the products that I offer, right? A commission. I'm not going to lie, it's what it is. But I don't feel that I've ever been one of those financial advisors that was going to shortchange my client on the experience just because I wasn't being charged a fee for my advice that I was giving them. Now, at the same time, I recognize, I've really 15 years, I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen some pretty crazy things. And I really, truly believe that what I'm able to teach my clients is a true value. And so I will be shifting my practice to charge a fee. So you're seeing more and more financial advisors charging a fee. And that's also because we're already heavily regulated, but it's getting even more intense. And from a regulation standpoint. So that's the direction that the industry is going. And it should, because it's really funny. One of our managers, we had a whole call this morning on charging fees and the importance of understanding why that's happening. That commission-based selling will probably go away at some point in time, because really it allows that client to feel like they're not going to get pressured into something that they're not just hungry for that commission to sell them a product. Like I do have people like, "Oh my gosh, when am I going to pay you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's going to come eventually when we do some investments and we talk about insurances, but let's get through this stuff first." Like a client may not pay me. I might not be compensated from a client for 6 months because of the way that I run my practice. So that is an evolving, it's a really funny question that you asked that. And I really hate answering it right now because it's an evolving practice and I do plan to charge fees and I see the value behind it. But then when you get to that point where you can charge fees, I'm also going to be receiving a commission. So I may charge less of a fee if you buy the products, right? So there's so many different ways it's a whole different world. I don't want to open up that bag, but I was taught very early on that charging fees is bad. So it's kind of like it's a really mixed thing for a lot of financial advisors to charge fees.
Okay. So to be determined on that one.
Yeah, I didn't know about the fees. That's interesting.
I remember that when I was working, I worked at Alliance for a year. I was fully licensed actually right before I left.
I was so sad when you left.
You're
amazing. Sad. If you ever want to come back, you know where I'm at.
I do. And I was, I actually tried to hold on to my licenses, but I didn't anyway. So we have another question. If someone wanted to hire you, how would they go about doing so?
You can provide them all my information.
Okay. I will provide Stella's information in here. So anyone else that might not want us to know, you can just contact her privately. I'll give her email and office number, however you want to get a hold of her. So we'll definitely link that information for you guys. And
If
then
you
we
are
just get,
international, just want to hit you have
yeah,
to live in the States. I know because I know you have some followers that are not just in the United States.
yeah,
I unfortunately can't help anybody outside of the United States. My licenses prohibit me from doing that unless they live in the United States.
good point. I think.
Wonder if the fees in the future would be like a tax write-off at some level.
They are. They are.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's like paying a CPA or paying for like you receive advice. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we rate those off.
Well, yeah, I was thinking fees going forward.
Yeah, it would be.
So I know we had some questions that were like written questions in the group. What should we anticipate to happen to 2021 taxes in lieu of making, in lieu of the major costly stimulus / bailouts of COVID?
So I don't think, this goes into public policy. Still to be determined. You know what I mean? We have to kind of come out of this first.
Yeah.
I think the taxes are going to be, I don't think we're going to see any major consequences, or I don't know what the word is I want to say about what's going on with the stimulus. Because think about it, we're printing money and it's a really low interest rate that we're at right now. And this is a very, historically speaking, this is uncharted territory. And I'm not trying to scare people, but it's just what it is, right? So I think, again, going back to, do you really need that money? Do you really need those monies? Like, do you really need the PPP? Do you really need the unemployment? If you can get by and you're doing fine with what you're doing, then it's really there to bail people out. That's really what that stuff is there for. Because what you're doing is, if you're applying for these things and you don't need it, and you're going to be fine with your business, especially if you're self-employed, and you can make it up once things get lifted, or you have a good healthy balance sheet now. Like, don't just take it because it's there. Take it because you need it, because it makes sense, because it's going to help the bigger picture. What are the ripple effects of this? Honestly, so I've been gearing my clients up for some type of market correction or even recession. Really, really interesting little point here is, back in December, when I would listen to, the analysts out there, and they're like, yeah, we're maybe anywhere from a 20 to 40% chance of a recession in 2020. Well, now that's completely opposite. We're like very likely to have a recession this year. And it's funny because I would share with my clients over the last couple of years, I'm like, we've had, historically speaking, this 11, 12-year run-up is the longest run-up we've had, historically speaking. And we saw the Dow and the S&P increased by like 300, the S&P increased by 310%, if not 350, over that period of time. That's a huge historic gain, right? So at some point in time, we're going to have a correction, and it's okay. That's what's supposed to happen. We're not supposed to stay up forever. We're going to have a correction. And that's why, as a financial advisor, I don't use 20% rates of returns when I project for retirement or returns. I'm actually very conservative, and I take it to the averages. So all this correction is doing is it's taking our returns to the averages. Okay. So when you're worried about your portfolio, just remember, your financial advisor is probably projecting conservative returns for a reason. Those are the averages. We're back to the averages. So as we come out of this, it's really hard to tell what's going to happen. I think we might have a flat period of time with the market, because I was never would I guess that a pandemic would have taken us down. Like, that's really what 6 months ago I would have never guessed a pandemic was on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
I would have thought it would have been some other economic burst or something that would have caused the market to do what it's doing. I still think that's on the horizon. I don't know what it is yet. I don't have, that vision or that I'm not a fortune teller, but I do still think that that's going to happen. So there's still going to be some type of economic domino effect that's going to come out of this. And as long as we understand our cash flow position, we have the foundation in place. I'm repetitive, 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash. We have 1 year of short-term capital. We know what our basics are, so that when something happens, we go back to the basics. We know where cash position's good. And then if we need to replenish it, we work on that. So I just say, stay prepared. Like, that's why you have that foundation in place, because if something happens, you never know when it's going to happen. Hindsight's 2020. We never know when that next correction is going to happen. We don't know when you're going to break your leg and be out of work for 8 months. We don't know, right?
Don't know that.
You don't know when that's going to happen. You have no control over that. But what you can control is the decisions you make with your dollars and your cents today. And just make sure you're making good decisions so that you can hack credit card points so that you can take advantage and go on basically free trips to, to wherever you want to go. Because if you have a troubled balance sheet, that's hard to do. But when you have a healthy balance sheet, that's fine. That's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So, because some of your followers might be experiencing that exact situation, like, man, I put this trip on a card, or I put something on a card and now I can't pay my bills. Well, how am I going to navigate that? It's not the end of the world. Call your company, figure out what your options are, pay the minimum if you could pay the minimum, but don't just ignore it. Don't rush off to pay it off if you don't have the extra cash in your accounts. Just think about the domino, like, calm down, take a deep breath, and think about, okay, what can I do that's in my best interest, not just react on it. So it's because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months. We don't know how long it's going to take to recover, and we may not see the tax implications. When I say that, this is going to have to get paid back somehow, and it's not going to just be by the market returns. It's going to be by us taxpayers at some point in time. And maybe that's the next president. Maybe that's in 2022 if Trump remains our president. Who knows? But what I could tell you is right before we have this election, market's going to go down. It always does. And then as soon as we come out of the election, I think except for 1 year, the market's going to bounce back up. So just be prepared for that little flip in the market. But any new president comes in, they change tax laws every time. Tax laws are ever evolving. It's ever changing. And at some point in time, we're going to have to make up for this.
Yeah, some really good points.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about all of those things. I'm curious if there's going to be another dip. I'm curious about what will happen in November, obviously, and that's a really interesting point that you bring up about the stocks and everything kind of going down, or the market going down right before and up after. Those historical trends are very interesting. Is that just something that you remember or you picked up on over the years, or is there a database or something like that?
Education. You never stop learning. You never stop learning in this industry. Things change all the time. I'm actually, like I said, I'm studying for enhancing my licenses. As soon as I'm done with studying for those licenses, I actually do want to get a couple of certifications. I have, like I said, I have 3 kids, and that kind of put 3 kids between the ages of 12 and 6. So that slowed things down from my study standpoint, but I'm back at it. I'm back in it. And I want to get my master's in finance as soon as I get these other licenses taken care of. So probably over the next 3 to 4 years. So I'm going to continue to seek education. Anybody who's really good at what they do in this industry, they're always learning. You never stop learning. You can't stop learning, because then you will become a dinosaur in this business and you'll become irrelevant. And, my goal is to build a team. And actually, I told Jim from our office, I said, I want to create my own agency within our agency. And because I'm not going to be here forever, and I want to make sure the legacy that my clients are creating is going to be continued through someone who's like-minded as me, who's going to care about their clients and going to put their love and soul into their clients like I do my clients. I love my clients. I have so many great relationships with my clients. They're a lot of fun. They make coming to work so much easier. It's fun, like, in being able to chat with them and talk to them and get invited to Facebook Live presentations. It's a lot of fun. But like, I plan to evolve as a financial advisor. I'm not always going to be doing one-on-one planning, because at some point in time, I'm going to kind of lose touch with reality. And I want that next person to take over for me, and for that to continue going forward. So you never stop learning in this industry. There's so much to learn. That circle of knowledge, you hear that. Have you ever heard the circle of knowledge? Well, I know what I know. That's like a little sliver. I'll draw it on my little cheat sheet here. So circle of knowledge. I know what I know. Hold on.
You don't know what you don't know?
I know what I know. Hold on. Where's that? Where's my circle? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. I know what I know.
Pac-Man.
I know what I don't know. But I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And whenever I say to my clients, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. And if you come across an idea or a concept that is new to you probably heard me say this, let's study it. Let's study if it makes sense, because I might learn something new and you might learn something new, and it might be a great opportunity for you. So if you come across something, hey, let's learn it together, because I'm always willing to learn something different.
Yeah, that's great. And that's what I love about you. I've given you so many off the wall questions, and you'll be like, I don't know that answer, but I'll look into it. And you always come back with an answer. So I always appreciate that.
Let's study it. I think I said that too. Let's study it.
Yeah. I know we ran over our hour meeting a little bit, but I think I had 2 more questions. So how will unemployment, how will unemployment caused by the pandemic affect pre-approvals for home loans? I know you mentioned about having a credit score over 680, but what if, you're in my situation, we want to buy another house and now I'm on unemployment, well, if I ever get it, but my job at the airline is I'm no longer needed because there's such a downfall of people flying. So,
That's a great question. I would have to imagine that it's going to be harder for that person who's on unemployment and not regularly earning an income. It's going to be harder for that person to do it. But you think about it too, retirees can get approved for a mortgage, and it has to do with what they have in assets, right? If you're married, then it might just have to be in your spouse's name, not your name. So that's a great question for a mortgage banker or to ask. And if you're not sure where to find, there's some really great, I always get it messed up. I think it's premium mortgage or premier mortgage. They're relatively new to me, but their service model is all about educating. And it's really interesting in some of the things that they do in terms of educating their clients and helping them rescore their credit score. And the interactions I've had with them, with having clients work with them, they are very upfront and they will give it to you like they need to. So they are just look for a good mortgage banker to give you that information. And a lot of banks will be able to answer those questions too.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Good answer too.
And so we talked about this one or no? I don't think this is the last question. Where would you recommend putting extra money besides the stock markets / where is the best place to short-term invest for 1 to 3 years while things recuperate?
So I always say, as a rule of thumb, if you're going to spend this money in the next 1 to 3 years, you shouldn't invest it. If you're going to do it, as much as I'm not a fan of CDs, they're short-term bond obligations, but the market, actually, even short-term bond obligations are not fantastic right now. I can't answer that question because I don't know your situation. So, I would say to my client, most of the clients, probably 99% of my clients, if you're going to need this money, if you're going to use this money in the next 1 to 3 years, why invest it? Because there's no guarantee that money is going to be there. Because especially imagine somebody who said 2 years ago, well, I might need this money in 1 to 3 years, right? And I put in my $1,000 or my $5,000 or my $10,000, and then I needed it fit March 15th. What did the market do? It was down 30%. That person's money, the gains plus if they paid fees, that money might not be there. So if you're talking 1 to 3 years, I probably wouldn't invest it. But if you're talking about keeping it there for the long term, then that's a different conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I would say the one thing the basic travel couple I think would say is finding a bank account that offers you a nice little bonus for.
Yeah,
that's a great.
Actually do this quite often. We open a new bank account, probably like,
I don't know, it's like twice a year.
Yeah,
or something.
A couple times a year. We find an offer, and sometimes they're like, put $10,000 in this. This is a really extreme example. I know that. I don't know why I said 10,000.
2,000.
Usually they're like 2,000, but you can let your money sit in there. There are some extravagant ones that we've never done that are like put 50,000 in, you'll get like a big.
So those are probably money market accounts, if I had to guess. And the money market accounts back in 2008, they were paying like online money market accounts like ING and some other ones. They were paying like 5% interest. Money market accounts are like savings accounts, but they actually are held in brokerage. Essentially, they're held in brokerage accounts. They're part of like the investment world. So they're not savings accounts. Are they guaranteed? Your answer is supposed to be no, but the chances of them losing money is very unlikely. But money market accounts are actually really interesting because in 2008, like 2007, they were paying like 5% interest. It was crazy. And then as soon as 2008 happens, they went down to like 5%. They just started going back up in the last year. Like our money market that we, hey, my name showed up, was starting to pay. Remember when you said, what's my name there? Money market accounts we're paying like around 1.5, 1.6% interest, even like I don't even know how long ago. I don't think they're paying that now because prime rates went back down. So you might have a hard time right now finding a decent money market account with decent interest, but you might, but the banks might still be looking to give those offers out. So keep an eye on those opportunities.
Yeah, new checking and savings account offers.
Yeah.
Usually they're like, you get a good one for $200 to $500 max.
Yeah. Dave and I, so SoFi it's a money market account, and probably like 6 months ago. No, it was last year when I had my broken leg.
I remember
they
that.
were offering such good deals. If you opened a money market account with them and then referred friends, at one point it was $100 a referral. It was amazing. And I mean,
not just that, like they were giving away like $100 stocks, $100
yeah, they were doing
bonuses for setting up direct deposit, $100 for this, $100 for that.
Yeah.
Like, so it was like in the 80s. I think in like the 80s, you could open up a bank account and they'd give you a toaster or something like that. Like,
yeah, right.
So my first bank account
like
was with KeyBank, and they gave me an iPod Nano, like the little one. But it was my first bank account, and I knew, like, I've had it for 15 years. I don't even know. And then my account got hacked, and I was so sad because I have that number memorized by heart. Now I don't remember my new account number, but I still have that iPod Nano.
iPod Nano.
That's so fun. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, tell us next week. We're going to send the information out for Stella for the cash flow management. It's going to be on Wednesday at 12:15. So we'll send the information out. That'll be a free workflow course.
Workshop. It's a workshop. It's actually going to be. It's a workshop. It's all good. And it's cash flow mapping, and it's not about budgeting. It's about creating the spending plan. And what I like to say to clients, one of my associates shared this with me, and she said, and I loved it. It was genius. So I'm not going to own credit for this phrase, but when you know you're doing the right things with your money and you're saving your 15% and you're doing the right things, you now have the permission to enjoy your money. And that's the approach we take. It's not about taking away from you. It's about how do I build good habits and relationships with my money? Because it's an emotional connection that we have with our money. We have this crazy emotional relationship with our money. And how do we have a better relationship with our money so that we are being more fiscally responsible? And when we're doing that, we then have the permission to, I want to buy a pair of Louboutins. I haven't done it yet. I actually said I could do it last year because I hit a certain goal at work, but I didn't do it. Instead, bought a new snowboard. But like, I would love a pair of Louboutins. I would really love a pair of Louboutins. But I have to hit a certain financial goal this year to do that. So I am all about create that reward. When you hit that goal, go after that reward, as long as it's reasonable and it's not irresponsible. So it's about enjoying life and having that peace of mind and the financial security and the financial stability. And that's what this whole topic is going to be about, is how do you, and it's for it's not just for people are barely getting by, because there's some seriously high income earning people who do not have good money management skills. And that's what this is all about, is getting down to the basics, but then and like, how do you enjoy your money too?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a really valuable workshop.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think I already put it in my calendar. So
good.
We will put Stella's information on the Facebook note right after this. And if anyone has...
Final question. What's your dream vacation? Bucket list destination? Greece.
I want to spend like 3 weeks in Greece, and we were talking about going this September, but it's not happening this year.
That sounds nice.
It's my 40th birthday gift to myself, and
yes.
I had this whole pandemic, like there was 2 weeks and I was not an okay person, because like the kids and I were going to take a 3-week RV trip along the West Coast, because I'm from the West Coast. And Jake and I were going to take a week to go to Greece, but like, that's just, we're going to do it next year, and it's what it is, and it's fine.
Postpone.
We'll be sure to get you the free flights on that. And
my husband's in charge of this.
We have a lot of Greece.
My husband's in charge of this stuff.
Yeah, we need to have a course with him.
Yes.
Yeah, and just in general, Greece recommendations.
Oh, Greece is amazing.
Right. I'm in. It's like my dream. I feel like I probably am like having Greece in my heredity. I'm Cherokee and German and Italian. I'm not Italian, French. But I feel like I should be from Greece. Okay.
It'll be worth the trip. It'll be
We
worth
froze
it.
again. There you go.
Oh yeah.
All right, Stella,
right,
thank
great.
you so much for being on with us tonight. I feel like there was a lot of valuable information shared, and I'm really looking forward to your class next
Thank
week. So thank you, and we'll put all the information up. If anyone has any other questions, you can reach out to Stella, and we'll have that.
Yeah, we'll link her contact info in the notes, and we'll link it on in the comments below too.
Thank you so much, guys. This was a lot of fun. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate
Bye.
you.
All right.
Have a
All
good night.
Bye. You too. Good